So the new Superman show, My Adventures with Superman, finally came to an end with its final episode of Season 1, Episode 10, and I gotta be honest, to me this is the perfect version of Superman. The overall show is really good from the unique animation, the story, the characters, and everything else, and I definitely enjoyed watching it, and I think you will too. Now, Season 2 has already been announced, and it'll probably be released sometime in 2024, not sure when, but definitely gonna be checking that out whenever it drops. But what's up guys, Storm back here with the video, and if you like the content you're seeing, then be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to see more of me, go check out my other channels and go follow me on all my socials, which will all be linked down below. But without further ado, why don't we just dive right on in. Now, starting off with the visuals and animation, it's really unique as it's similar to anime, and the aesthetics just work because it fits with the series and everything that it has to offer. It's something new with Superman, and it might be a bit jarring at first because people are obviously not used to this. They're not used to seeing Superman in this certain art style, but it just works. And when it comes to Superman's powers, they link that anime aesthetic to it. So whenever he needs to unlock his true powers, he pretty much has an anime power up where his eyes glow blue and he's surrounded by lightning, which is different to say the least, and it might take some getting used to, but like I said, with the anime aesthetics, it just works for what the series is trying to do. Now, the character designs, however, they do take some getting used to. Now, for Superman, his costume is pretty cool. It is different. The S symbol is changed on this, and I like this look. I like his costume. You haven't really seen it before, but it also just works. And with Jimmy, they changed his ethnicity to African American, which I'm all for. I think in recent years they've done a better job with this character because honestly, I don't really give a fuck about Jimmy Olsen, to be honest, but in recent years, others have given their own spin to Jimmy's character, and this series took inspiration for that and definitely made him a goated character, and his design fits pretty well. Now, Lois, I gotta admit, she is a baddie, and her design really works too. But when it comes to the villains of the series, that's where it kinda takes a turn, and it definitely takes some getting used to. Now, most of Superman's villains in the season are tech-based, which might throw some people off, and they might not really like that because some of the designs are kinda wonky to look at and are kinda hard to tell who's who. Like, Deathstroke or Slade is a lot younger than he normally is, and his costume is more of a tech-based suit that allows him to fight Superman, so definitely takes some getting used to when it comes to the villains. But when you actually think about it in an in-universe explanation for why there's tech-based suits and why all the villains are tech-based, but an in-universe explanation for why they might have chosen this aesthetic is because the Kryptonians left their technology on Earth, and the government and the likes of Task Force X got a hold of it, and then criminals got a hold of that technology, and there you go, tech-based villains in Metropolis with Superman. But when it comes to the overall story, this is where it truly hits home. This is what Superman is meant to be. Superman is meant to be a beacon of hope, and throughout this series that happens a lot. So in this, Clark is still learning how to use his powers in episode 1 and 2. He's just met Lois and he's still trying to get to know her, but throughout the series they get to know each other and they grow closer, eventually forming a relationship, which is also one of the main standpoints of Superman. You gotta have Lois Lane if you make Superman. Their bond is what drives the story forward and what drives his character forward and turns him into the beacon of hope that everyone knows and loves. He's still learning about who he is. He doesn't know where he comes from. He's still learning how to use his powers. He's still learning about what it means to be Superman. But as the season goes on, all of that is expanded upon and even more so. And with the overarching plot, it's also really good with Task Force X, but more so Sam Lane, who's pretty much the main antagonist of this season, trying to catch Superman, thinking that he's going to cause another invasion of Earth because he's Kryptonian. And all of the tech-based villains are pretty much connected to that obsession to try and stop him. But with each villain and character that Clark faces, he learns something new, whether it be powers or a lesson or just something that teaches him what it means to be a hero. Now, the characters are great, especially Clark with, like I said, he's still learning how to use his powers. He's learning about what it means to be Superman, but you see that growth throughout the season. You see him go from this nervous, bumbling young adult that begins to form a bond with more people, learns what it means to be a hero, fall in love with the woman of his dreams, save the city multiple times, to eventually in the final episode almost sacrificing himself to save the entire world. And his character growth shows what the overarching character of Superman actually means. He cares about the people of Metropolis and Earth. He wants to keep them safe no matter the cost. Not some dark and gritty fucking god that goes around murking people. But then there's Lois, who also has great character growth. She goes from someone who kinda only cares about herself, but eventually learns from her lessons and stops being selfish, but also forms a bond with Clark, and as the two get closer, you see their relationship develop, and she becomes a great character in her own right. But then there's Jimmy, who's great comedic relief. All the shenanigans and random shit he began into is honestly funny as hell, and also whenever he says something random about an alien or a monster, or just anything weird in general, it makes you laugh. Now back to the villains and their designs, which do take some getting used to. The show does put its own spin on the characters, which I do like. From Amanda Waller with Slade or Deathstroke and Task Force X, which if you don't know is the Suicide Squad, to the common Superman rogues gallery whenever it comes to the Superman mythos. But then back to Sam Lane, Lois Lane's father. He's, like I said, the main villain of the series, of this season anyway, and it honestly works. You wouldn't think that he would be the main villain for season 1 of a new Superman show, but I do like it, with what they try to do with this character, his obsession. But as the season goes on, he realizes that he's sort of in the wrong, well not really, but he begins the process to, and I think in later seasons, if this show does go beyond season 2, that he will eventually become an ally to Superman. But then there's also the fact that this is in its own universe, and I feel that it could honestly build up other characters, other DC characters, like, who knows, at one point we might even see Batman. They're definitely going to set up future villains for him to face. I feel like Lex Luthor is about to come in. I feel like they might have already introduced him through a certain character, but I'm not too sure yet. But then there's also everything that happens with the Kryptonians. It definitely gives me an Invincible feel because Clark is trying to stop an invasion from Krypton in the final episode, and he confronts his father, which gives me a Mark and Omni-Man feel. But then with episode 10, there's that cliffhanger, and it's setting up for the next season, and it showed us Brainiac and a masked character, which I'm assuming is going to be Zod. But with My Adventures with Superman, you never know because it puts its own spin on everything and makes it unique. Also gotta talk about the voice acting right quick now. Huey from The Boys actually voices Superman, which I didn't catch on until a couple episodes in. He actually does a really good job, and it shows whenever he's having a relationship issue with Lois or trying to save the city or just literally trying to do anything. But overall, My Adventures with Superman is a goated show that shows what it truly means to be Superman and envisions what the character is all about. From Clark's character growth throughout the season and what it truly means to be a hero to his relationship with Lois, and just everything else in general that he has to deal with throughout the first season. But with that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know down below if you want to see more videos like this. And with that, I will see you all in the next one. Peace.